Here I was feeling very proud of myself that I made all these nice meals the past week. I made granola bars, snacks for school. I felt all situated, and before you knew it, our fridge was empty again. Our pantry is empty. So I have to do it all over again. Time to feed my family again for the next week. So I'm gonna take you with me as I grocery shop and cook for my family this coming week because we all need dinner ideas. I know the cycle never ends, and when you become a mom, you realize that you have to basically make dinner for the rest of your life, and no one's gonna do it for you. So I'm here to help you and to support you on that journey as we try to feed the people in our lives. I have no plan for the next week. We have no food. So step one is you need to get a meal plan. I took a few minutes to come up with a basic meal plan. You just wanna think of a few meals that you are craving, things you feel like making, and write those down. This is my meal plan that I have just set up for the week. Next, you need a grocery list. A grocery list is how you save time and money at the grocery store, and here is my list for this week. First, I went over to Aldi and just got the essentials, and I only spent $80. And then I went over to Costco, and by a miracle of self-will, I only spent $140. So that's what a grocery list and a meal plan will do for you. This was definitely a small shopping trip for me, but I chose meals that I already had most of the ingredients for, and then everything else was just fill-ins and just items that we needed for our house. So that's what contributed to most of the cost savings for this week. I'm gonna go ahead and mix together the dough for the sandwich buns that I'm gonna be making tonight because that needs some time to rise. So I'm gonna mill some flour and get going with that. I'm gonna share with you exactly what I did here for the sourdough discard sandwich buns. I normally use honey and butter in this recipe, but I ended up altering it on the fly just to make it easier to whip together. All right, so I'm doing 50 grams of olive oil, and I'm gonna do 50 grams or 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. Just because I'm in a hurry today, just want to get this over with. So this is 450 grams of flour. So into this bread machine bowl, I did 285 grams of water. I did an egg, 9 grams of salt, 1/4 cup of sugar, 50 grams of olive oil, 100 grams of sourdough starter. It's not super bubbly, just a little bit. It's not quite ready. So I did a teaspoon of yeast, 450 grams of freshly milled flour. I'm going to put it right in here and set it to option number 12, which will just mix it for me and rise the dough, but it's not going to bake it. And I'll deal with this later. Okay. Later in the afternoon, my bread dough was ready. So now I'm just dividing it into 8 pieces, and I'm gonna shape it into a bun shape. And then I'm gonna transfer them to that parchment lined baking pan and let them rise for another hour or so. I love using the bread machine and a little bit of yeast and making these sourdough discard buns. It comes together with minimal effort, and I can have it ready by dinner time, which really helps. I'm also making some roasted sweet potatoes right now. I'm gonna bake that at the same time that I'm baking the buns so that I can have a side sweet potato salad. So I'm gonna get my apron on now. I actually made this apron, which is a fun little project. But I'm gonna be cooking a bunch of chicken now, and I'm gonna boil all of the chicken that I got and just save some of it in the freezer and use some of it tonight. That way I just don't have to cook chicken the next time I need it. This is a great way to make chicken. You want to cover it with water and add in a tablespoon of peppercorns, cumin, yellow mustard seed, and some bay leaves, and a tablespoon of salt. You're going to bring that to a boil. And I'm also working on some sourdough bread at the moment, just giving it a stretch and fold. And I'm gonna put this to the side. I always usually have something going off in the corner there. The chicken, you wanna make sure it's under the water and then bring it down to a simmer for about 20 minutes. My buns are finished. They look awesome. I'm brushing them with a little bit of butter and preparing the rest of the produce for my chicken salad. When the 20 minutes is up, just turn the heat off on your chicken, and when you're ready, you can take it out of the pot. It's good to let it rest for a few minutes, and then you want to chop it up as small as you can for the chicken salad. I'm adding in a tablespoon of Dijon mustard, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a squeeze of lemon juice, and about a half cup of mayo. I went a little bit light on the mayo. I think it could have used some more. But I didn't want to add too much to this. My husband does not eat too much sugar, and so I have two versions, one with grapes and honey in it and the other without that. And then this is the potato salad. I just added a little bit of mayo to this and some red wine vinegar. And then I thought I would add a little bit to my husband's chicken salad, so he had a little bit of sweetness. He can eat sweet potatoes fine. And then that turned out so good looking that I ended up just adding the whole thing, the rest of it, to ours. And so I thought this was pretty good, having some sweet potato mixed in there as well. And then this is our dinner. We just had a simple chicken salad sandwich for dinner. I just wanted something simple and fresh, and I didn't use up all the chicken. Some of it was put into the freezer, and since it's already cooked and ready to go, I'll be able to whip up another meal another night without having to cook the chicken. Just want a little bite before I make everyone else's sandwiches. So tonight I'm making a meatloaf recipe that we really love. It has a lot of flavor in it. I'm doing a mix of ground turkey and ground beef, only because ground turkey is just cheaper. So I feel like if I mix the two of them, I'm still getting a lot of that flavor from the ground beef, but we're stretching this meal a little bit more. In a cast iron skillet, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, and I'm going to saute the onions until they are caramelized. So for a long time, 15 minutes to 20 minutes. So I'm turning it to low, and I'm covering it with a lid, and I'm gonna just let it do its thing. Try not to disturb it too much for the next 10 minutes or so. Got my apron on for this. I need a spoon. Into your bowl of meat, 2 eggs. Oh gosh. Now I need to do a good bit of tomato paste. Let's say 3 tablespoons. We went a lot of tomato. 1 teaspoon of salt, and then a half cup of almond flour. I'm trying something different and putting you on the counter. I like this angle actually. Here are the onions. I don't know if you can see, but they are very brown. I actually burned them a little bit. That's okay. Celery seed. And out. Aha, I do.
Like $13 or 40.
About 2 to 3 tablespoons of balsamic 2 to 3 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. And if you're okay with adding sweetener to yours, you can add a tablespoon of maple syrup right now. Okay, now we blend it. Be very careful. So that is gonna be the thing that adds all the flavor to your meatloaf. You're gonna add that onion to the meat mixture, mix it up without over mixing it, and transfer it to a glass casserole dish. Instead of a loaf pan, I think this works better because the meat cooks faster this way. And now I'm just boiling potatoes in salted water for the mashed potatoes, and I'm gonna bake the meatloaf at 375 for about 45 to 50 minutes. Set timer for 45 minutes. Okay, I have all my burners going because I also need to make granola bars because the kids are going to school tomorrow and I don't have any snacks right now for them. And granola bars are my easiest go-to snack, and I'm just gonna try and knock it out right now while I'm already getting things messy in the kitchen. This recipe is on my blog. And it is the best granola bar recipe in the world. So, you should go try it. I have some water boiling over there, and I'm just gonna blanch these green beans for just a few minutes. And then my daughter is helping me mix in the butter, sour cream, and milk, and salt and pepper into the potatoes. Okie dokie. The meatloaf turned out pretty good, but I do think it would be better if I had used only ground beef in this. I had a lot of turkey. It was almost too much meat to the ratio of all the other things. But I am going to post this recipe on my blog and make sure it's modified for the best possible version. Also, when you cook this in the oven, there is a good amount of liquid and grease that comes off of it, so that's why I take it out of the pan, cut it up, and put it on a plate. It's a much better way to serve this. So there you have it, a very classic family dinner. All right, so for the final main meal for this week, I'm making fish tacos, and I'm using a recipe from Joshua Weissman's cookbook. I think he is a food genius, and I will try almost anything that he puts out. And so for this, I am making a slaw to go with the fish tacos. This is a very simple slaw, but it turns out very, very good. I'm just shredding everything in the food processor. I'm doing half a head of cabbage, a red onion, 2 carrots, and a handful of cilantro. You're gonna put that into a bowl, and then you're gonna add in the zest and juice of 2 Meyer lemons or regular lemons. Mix that up and add in about 2 tablespoons of olive oil and some salt and pepper to taste. This is so simple, and yet it's crazy good, so you should definitely try it. I'm gonna stick this in the fridge and move on to making the sauce for the fish tacos. So I'm pulling out my homemade mayo and sour cream, and in a new jar, I'm going to add a half cup of sour cream and a half cup of mayo. Now for all the flavor, I'm going to add a tablespoon of hot sauce, 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika, a tablespoon of chili oil, and a tablespoon and a half of black rice vinegar, but I did not have that, so I did just regular rice vinegar. And then you're going to grate 2 cloves of garlic. All right, so now that that is done, I'm gonna make some corn tortillas, which I've never done before, but I got masa harina I'm probably butchering how you say that. And I'm gonna try and make them now. Hopefully it's pretty simple. I do not have a tortilla press, but I did see directions on how to make it without one. So we'll see if this works. We need 2 cups. 3/4 teaspoon of salt and 1.5 cups of hot water. You're supposed to knead this for like 2 minutes, and if it sticks to your hand, if it's still sticking to your hand, then it's too wet and you have to add more flour. Okay, this is what we have. Ta-da! Press it down all the way, straight, nice and straight and flat.
What are you making?
I mean, it's tiny. We're making tacos.
Ew, I do not like them.
Ah, doesn't look good. Oh my gosh.
Ooh, cheese ball.
Okay, well, it does work.
Cheese ball! It's not cheese ball.
Oh yeah, okay. Okay, it works. All right, I'll put it in a hot pan. For the fish, I'm using cod and I'm patting it dry, seasoning it with salt, and searing it in avocado oil in a very hot pan for a couple minutes on each side. And then I'm just going to use that for the fish tacos. Very, very simple. I'm not frying them, I'm just searing them. And now you just assemble your very simple fish taco with fish, slaw, and the sauce on top. This was beyond delicious, which is why I love to cook recipes from cookbooks of professional chefs, because they just know their stuff and you end up learning a lot. So these flavors, they were simple, but they were so good. All right, the tortilla is holding together. I don't know if you can see that. Wow. Holy cow. Now Joshua Weissman, he did it again. The sauce with the coleslaw, and then just like the simple plain fish. So good. All right, I need to get everyone's plates ready now. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you got some ideas for your family, and I'll be back soon with more meal planning and homemaking content for you.